Hello Goddess, and welcome back to this video where I'm going to be sharing my 5 favorite Oracle decks with you. I'm Brittney Carmichael, the founder of Shine School and the Shine from the Inside Oracle, where I empower women to break free of the fear that stops them from shining their light. And if you haven't noticed by now, I love using divination tools like tarot and oracle cards to connect with my soul and to develop my intuition, which is exactly why I created my own oracle deck to help empower women to really commit to their self-care rituals. So naturally, my first favorite oracle is the Shine from the Inside Oracle that I created, all about self-love, breaking free of fear, owning your authentic light, and really committing to your self-care rituals. Because I know that as women, we can burn out really quick when we're overgiving. And so if we don't take time to pause, to reconnect with our soul, and to figure out what it is that we need in order to fill our cup, it's gonna be a really long battle. So I created the Shine from the Inside Oracle based on all the lessons of self-love that I teach in Shine School, my online signature program, 6 weeks of self-love and discovering your authentic self. And each one of the lessons in Shine School, it made it to a card to remind you that you're amazing, to break free of your fear, to be bold and courageous, to slow down, whatever it is, there it is. There's the slow down and rest card, you need it. So whatever it is that your soul needs to reconnect, to realign with your goals, this deck is gonna help to remind you of those simple practices that you can do to love yourself. So the Shine from the Inside Oracle was designed by my friend Jenna Kane, and all of the lessons, the self-love lessons, come from my signature program, Shine School. This is one of my favorite cards, actually. This is Release Self-Doubt, Let Go of Fear. So this is a reminder that you're amazing and that you do not need to let all those negative self-talk and doubts and fears stop you from shining bright. We also did a second edition where we added the rainbow foiled edges because, hey, sparkle magic, just can't stop myself. And it also matches the front of the deck. There's all these beautiful little shiny rainbow stars and moons, and so I thought that would be the perfect addition. There's also a 150-page colorful guidebook that has all the meanings, affirmations, how to use the deck, different spreads that you can do if you're not familiar with using oracle cards, because oracle cards are a great way to get started when you're looking to connect with your soul, but you're kind of intimidated by all 78 cards and meanings of the original tarot. So oracle cards are a fun pull and play kind of experience, like I like to describe it, where you don't need to have anything memorized. You can pull a card and automatically know what it means and how it shows up in your life. Oh my gosh, I just pulled a card. Show off your sparkle and shine from the inside. So there's my own signature card. So funny. You don't need to have the guidebook to know the messages from the Shine from the Inside Oracle. You automatically, intuitively know what these message means. But if you want to dive even deeper, I've created an extensive guidebook to help take that wisdom even further. Now, my next favorite oracle is called the Awakened Soul. This was created by my friend Ethany, and she sent me a copy early, and I started using it with my clients. After I do a coaching session, or even in my tarot calls, I always like to pull, well, in my tarot readings, of course I pull tarot cards, but in my coaching sessions, I do like to pull a card at the end of all of our meetings to kind of see, like, what's the next step? Where are we headed? What are we focusing on? And what I found is that when I was pulling cards from the Awakened Soul deck for my clients during my coaching process, the messages from this deck just were spot on with their progress of spiritual enlightenment and soul awakening. So the Awakened Soul cards have this incredible, diverse artwork that really invokes different emotions and feelings. Like when you see the artwork, you know exactly what's up, what is needed. Gosh, look at this one, y'all. I love this. This is about being creative. It says perspective. So the messages here really are powerful messages that align with what you're experiencing on your awakening journey of discovering yourself, of reconnecting, of figuring out your truth. Let's see, let's pick one. All right, so this one just wanted to pop up. Trust. Trust comes up. I mean, think about it. The caterpillar has to trust itself before it goes into the chrysalis so that it can transform and evolve and change into something even more magnificent. So I love the Awakened Soul deck just as kind of like on the journey of surrender, just on the journey of enlightenment and awakening. These messages will help to remind you that you're on the right path, that that the simple things in life really are what make the biggest difference. And so committing to your family, committing to having compassion, committing to being creative, you know, things like that are gonna be what makes the biggest difference. Boundaries. So this is a great deck to remind you of how to stay strong on your journey of spiritual enlightenment. All right, next up, one of my favorite decks that I started with originally is the Work Your Light Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell. Now, in a previous video, I shared my top 5 favorite tarot decks, and Danielle Noel's deck, the Moonchild Tarot, popped up, and I mentioned she's created art for a bunch of other Oracle deck creators, and this would be one of those decks. So Danielle Noel created the artwork for the Work Your Light deck, and this is a great, again, another great deck for when you're on your journey of self-discovery and learning to trust your intuition and working your light as a light worker here to make magic and spread peace and love on this planet. This is a great, powerful deck with just constant reminders and basically rememberings of what your soul already knows, to kind of get you to wake up to your mission, to play, to have fun, to you know, set fear aside and know that this is just a part of the path. So this soul family just came up. Funny, Chris and I just recorded a video on what your soul family and twin flames are. Akasha, so tapping into the ancient wisdom. Dance, do something to shift your vibration. This is awakening, energetic upgrades. Take a break, life's work. Not a season, get off the treadmill. And let's see, one more. Says warrior woman. If you weren't afraid, what would you do? So this is just a great reminder, messages to awaken your soul, to tap back into your power, to remind you that you're here on a mission to work your light. Oh my gosh, it literally says birthing a new age. It's the ones that are tapping into the woo-woo stuff like crystals and oracle decks, meditation and yoga that are gonna be the ones that are crazy enough to make a difference and shift this planet. So if you're watching this video and you're not like, oh my God, what is she talking about? Then I know you're one of the ones that's here to help. So next up, we've got the Nature's Whispers Oracle. I love this Oracle deck so much because I found it while I was traveling in Iceland with my grandmother, where she's from. And one of my cousins took me, one of my cousins took me to a mall, and on the 3rd floor was only one shop. It was the crystal shop with all these tarot decks, and they had tester decks out, so you could, like, you know, pick them up, see if you liked it. And I picked up this deck, and oddly enough, this card, which is freaking me out right now, was the card that I pulled out of the deck and read, let love be your beacon, and was like, I need this deck in my life right now. And so nature to me is a great way to reconnect with your soul, to remember who you are, where you came from. Nature for me is where I glean so much wisdom in slowing down. There's cycles, there's seasons, we need to rest. We need to destroy what's not working and to regenerate, you know, like nature is our wisest teacher, and these oracle cards really tap into all the different messages that you would find in nature. So let's pull one from here. Vulnerability, you know. I feel vulnerable when I go out into the mountains of Colorado, and I am not from there. So it is very uncomfortable to put myself in a new situation. Ooh, cards are flying. We're going with it. We're doing readings, y'all. Okay, illumination shows up, and the big picture. So this is, you know, taking a step back and seeing how everything integrates. It's all operating as one. So this is just, and the artwork is phenomenal. Obsessed with how beautiful and delicate and gentle and loving and supporting these messages are. The guidebook is great. It has even deeper meanings on how to connect with each one of these cards and how that can show up in your life. So the Nature's Whispers Oracle comes from Angela Hartfield, and I just can't say enough about how much I love all the magic that comes from this deck. All right, last but not least, I have so many oracle decks, it was hard to choose from, but I couldn't film this video and not include the Wild Unknown Archetype Oracle. This is a Mac Daddy Oracle deck. The artwork, the thoughtfulness, the touches that go into this deck are beyond incredible. I haven't seen many decks like this. Like, oh, it's just like, it just keeps getting cooler and cooler. You pull this, you get the guidebook, which is phenomenal. Then you pull it again, and then you get the oracle deck that are round circle, which you don't usually see that. I mean, this box is beyond cool. So the reason why I love this archetype oracle so much is because I'm a huge fan of Carl Jung, who was a psychiatrist, and he talks about all the different archetypes. What I've also found in Tarot, and he even recognized this, is that the Tarot represents each of those different archetypes that we go through, whether that be the princess, the maiden, the crone type archetype. They're basically the building blocks of our personalities. And what I love so much about this deck is that it gives deep ass wisdom into each one of the archetypes. So I'm gonna just, talking about just nature and destroying, I opened up to the destroyer. Clearly we're in a Goddess Kali vibe right now. And so it says the savage, the unexpected, the rejected. And it gives when you're in dark and when you're in light, because that's what we've been talking about using the cards, is that it's a reflection of your truth. And sometimes our truth is dark. Sometimes our truth is light, and we have to be willing to accept no matter what side of the coin we're on. She also gives explanations of like different books you can read or different resources to tap into. And she covers, you know, all the different meanings for each one of the archetypes. Absolutely obsessed with everything out of this deck. Now, I don't use this super often, but I will tell you, when I do use it, it's typically during times of traumatic change in my life. When my grandmother was passing away, I came home and something said, you need to pull a card from this deck. And so I opened the deck, and I pulled out the cards, and I asked, what did my grandmother teach me? What was the lesson? And like, they look like a diamond. I mean, it's just so cool. I wish it sparkled, but you know, that's okay. It's circle. Who does that? That's so cool. So I had asked the question, like, what was the lesson my grandmother was here to teach me? And it's so interesting because I had literally, right before I asked the question, stood at my altar and asked my father, my biological father who passed, I asked him if he would help walk my grandmother across the Rainbow Bridge. And when I sat down and pulled a card from the deck, I asked, what was the lesson? What was the message? What was the archetype she's embodied or that I've learned from her? And the card that I pulled out of this deck was the bridge, and it had a rainbow over it. And it was sharing that, you know, I'm someone who can help walk between both worlds, the physical and the spiritual. And that just really showed me that, you know, to trust my ability as a psychic to intuit, even though she won't be in the physical, she'll be with us in the spiritual. And so that was a huge message and gave me peace and relief that I needed in that moment. And so the next time I ended up pulling a card out of this deck was when my stepfather passed away, who's raised me my whole life. And I asked, you know, what lessons did he show me? What was I supposed to learn? And the cards that I pulled from here, the different messages, just they hit home, and they're very deep and they're very powerful. So I feel like this is an oracle deck that isn't necessarily used on an everyday basis, whereas like the Shine from the Inside oracle, you can pull a card every single day and get the message that you need. This one's, I feel like, great for deep healing, deep understanding, discovering more about your personality and maybe parts of your personality that are lacking that you could develop by embodying different archetypes. So the Wild Unknown Archetypes Oracle had to make it to my list because it's powerful, it's unique, it's cool, it's beautiful, and it's deep. So Kim Krans, the creator of the Wild... This thing is intense. It'll knock you. Listen, that's symbolism right there. It'll knock you on it'll hit you in the face. Okay, these messages will punch you in the face. All right. Kim Krans also created the Wild Unknown Tarot. So she has an archetype oracle and a tarot deck. So if you like the artwork on this, I highly recommend you check out her tarot deck as well. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out my 5 favorite oracle decks. If you have a favorite deck, I want to know. Share it below in the comments and let me know which one you're going to pick up and start using. Remember, this is perfect for a beginner who doesn't really want to learn all the meanings and they just kind of want a simple, easy pull card. What's the message? Let's get going. And when you start to develop your chops and you get more interested and the woo-woo world starts sucking you in, then there are more options of decks for you to choose from. But I wanna know, what are you gonna get started with? And if you have any questions about using Oracle cards, either check out all of my free resources, blogs, and videos that I have up, or shoot me a DM and leave a comment below, and I'm happy to answer any question that you have for me. I'll catch you guys in another video. Peace.